We have a question from Jameson. That's a good name. I'm looking for some guidance on how to structure my strongman training for 3 consecutive days. Now, there's a reason he does this, so let's get his reason. I have a new work schedule that allots me 3 consecutive days off weekly, and I'm looking for guidance on how to appropriately structure my training so as not to venture into overtraining but continue to make progress. That's actually quite good. I do have a strongman program called the Weekend Warrior, where you do the two big sessions, Saturday and Sunday, and then you opt for a single exercise on like something like Wednesday, a power snatch, a power clean, maybe front squats, some big global movement that kind of gives you a little excitement in the middle of the week. I think we need to break this into 2 parts. So, Jameson, let's first look at those 4 days you're working. Now, during those 4 days you're working, if you can do any kind of that, like for example, I mean, whether if you do something like foam rolling, okay, which is good or bad or whatever, those are the 4 days I want you to do the foam rolling. Those are the 4 days I want you to do any and all mobility work, okay? If you have some flexibility issues that are impacting your competition, your strongman work, let's deal with those on those days. On those 4 days, those are the days I'd like you to focus on maybe getting the extra sleep. Those are the 4 days I want you to up your protein, up your veggies, up your drinking water. All those basics. Those 4 days where you're not training become those days where you take care of all kinds of recovery issues. Okay, now on those 3, I don't know all the events in strongman competition, but there's a couple ways we can do this. We can go whole part, whole part, whole part. But we need to have you make sure we get your weightlifting in, which I think you should do the Olympic lifts and the power lifts. You're going to do some kind of rehab work for like the shoulders, the elbows, the knees. That's what I've seen with strongman training. So we're going to have to get you to Olympic lift. We're going to have to get you to power lift. We're going to have to get you some of that rehab work. And we have 3 days to do it. If we get you too sore on day 1, you might not do a very good job on day 3. So let's talk about day 3 first. Personally, I think you'd want to have day 3 as your finisher day. That's the day where you need the entire next 4 days to recover from. So this is the day I would, if you do have the yoke carry, the farmer walk stuff, the one where you carry it like this and you go around in circles. I'm sorry, I don't know the names. Those are the days you want to do those long, heavy, deadly endurance things. So day 3, I'm going to go backwards here if you notice. So day 3 is the day where you do all the exhaustive work. And I would suggest you to leave it out there. If you're doing something like farmer walks, burn holes in the sidewalk going back and forth. Yoke carries, you're going to go long, you're going to go far. Get the work capacity day is day 3. I would suggest, though, that day 1, okay, hang on, I'll get through them all. Day 1 would be the day, originally I was thinking, when I first read this earlier, I was thinking day 1 would be the day to do the Olympic lifts. But now I'm thinking differently. I think maybe day 1 should be the day you get your powerlifting in. Now, I don't know if you're deadlifting, squatting, and bench pressing. I know that a lot of your events are deadlift-ish. But the nice thing about the power lifts is you're not going to need a ton of warm-ups, flexibility work, motor patterning work when you go into it. So take day 1 to be your powerlifting day, and then on top of it, those events that you would consider the short, explosive ones in your sport. The stones, maybe, the Atlas stones. I know you have so many small events, but anything that would be kind of in the world of powerlifting. Day 3 is all your finishers. Day 1 is powerlifting and the big, explosive, short-term strongman events. Day 2 then is going to be your hybrid bridge day. I'd love to see you do the Olympic lifts that day. But also, it might not be a terrible idea, especially if you have the equipment, to run through maybe 1 to 2 attempts with every single thing in your strongman system. So I hate to say half and half, but day 3 is half the work, which is all but emphasizing the work capacity on the long endurance. Day 1 is your kind of power day. And then day 2 is the Olympic lifts as best as you can, mixed with all the events. Yes, so in some of the events, you'll do them 2 days in a row. Maybe the Atlas stones, maybe this stone, maybe that. Those quick explosive ones, day 1, day 2. But on day 2, if there's it'd be easier for me to explain it was the Highland Games because there's 7 to 9 events. But on day 2, you would do all 9 Highland Game events. Not necessarily like a total Highland Games, but maybe 3 to 5 attempts with every throw or something like that. And just kind of bustle through it. It's a technique I use to prepare myself for weight pentathlons. The weight pentathlon is 5 events. And a lot of my competitors told me that they would break it out over a week. And I always thought, but that's not how a weight pentathlon feels. You're throwing the javelin after throwing the discus and hammer, and you got to kind of change gears a little bit mentally. So when you do get to day 3, and that's the work capacity, long endurance day, I want you to kind of leave it out there a little bit on the field, okay? And then that'll give you the 4 days to recover. If you can, in those 4 days, if you could pick one day just to do something like power clean or power snatch, anything that lights your nervous system back up, I would recommend that. But Jameson, I want you to write this down, what I'm talking about. Come in with your own ideas, share it with me, and we'll discuss more in the future. Thank you.